Hello, welcome once again to Leto's Law. I'm Steve Leto. Someone sent me a link to a story today out of curbed.com and said, "Hey, Steve, you're in this." And I am. Curbed.com has an article called The Truth About RVs, and its author, Andrew Zaleski, called me a while back and said, "Steve, I understand you've got strong feelings about RVs." And I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "May I quote you on some of those feelings?" I said, "Absolutely, let's talk." So we had a long conversation. And his article came out, and I am quoted therein. The truth about RVs. And he gives the example of Tom and Becky Olesh in 2018. They bought a $140,000 motorhome, and they were driving around with it, and they discovered that, among other things, it had a bad suspension. Brand new. And they'd owned other things. They'd owned tag-along travel trailers, towable camper vans, even diesel motorhomes, and they were shocked that this motorhome had such a bad suspension. They went to the dealership. The dealership said, "Yeah, we can add some stuff to the suspension for $2,500 that'll make it ride better." So they did that, but it was kind of surprising to them. So you need to understand, industry-wise, that not since the years before the Great Recession has the market for recreational vehicles in the U.S. been quite as hot as it is now. In 2017, for the first time in more than 40 years, American RV manufacturers moved more than 500,000 units from their factories to roughly 2,600 RV dealerships across the country. Since those record high production numbers, the overall RV market has cooled a bit. More than 482,000 units were sold last year, about 20,000 less than the year before, but still well above the fewer than 170,000 RVs being sold at the peak of last decade's recession. Despite shipments of RVs to dealers dropping about 20% so far this year compared to 2018, industry professionals remain optimistic about growth and predict shipments will increase in 2020. And I believe that a lot of this is driven by the naivete of people who buy these things not knowing what they're getting. So he points out again, as the Oleshes found when they bought a new motorhome, dueling forces are shaping the current RV market. A buoyant economy coupled with rising interest in the nomadic lifestyle, led to a rebound in the RV industry. Comeback is as much due to millennials as it is to the retiring generation of baby boomers. Of 78 million households that hit the great outdoors at least once in 2018, the kids routinely blamed for their poor adulting skills and love of fancy toast made up 41% of campers. At the same time, stories abound in forums, recall blogs, personal testimonies, industry publications, and talk radio of disgruntled owners of RVs who purchased a unit only to immediately about-face the vehicle to a dealership to fix a problem. And here's the quote. "I've had people tell me they've bought a brand new RV, drove it off the lot in a rainstorm and had it start leaking," says Steve Leto, a consumer protection attorney in Michigan who's handled his fair share of lawsuits for owners of allegedly defective RVs. And then he puts parenthetically, "There are more than 600,000 views of his Don't Buy an RV YouTube video," with a link. Thank you, sir, for that. I appreciate it. But, that's the tip of the iceberg. I've spoken to so many people who are upset with their RVs that it boggles the mind. Some complaints focus on the quality of workmanship that goes into manufacturing an RV. Others focus on missing items that would improve the experience. Still others address the design aesthetic of many recreational vehicles. The trademark swoops on a beige background, often described as boring or hideous. Kevin Broom, director of media relations at the RVIA, that's their trade group, says that the vast majority of owners are very satisfied with their RVs. In a survey asking current RV owners who recently bought a unit about their experience, the RVIA found that 88% rated their experience as good, very good, or excellent. That's about their experience buying it. What about their first month using it? Still addressing and solving his consumer complaints presents what Bob Wheeler, president and CEO of Airstream, calls an existential challenge for the RV industry. The fact is that 50% of our buyers are first-time RV owners, who also serves as co-chairman of the Go RVing Coalition, that's Wheeler, the national marketing campaign of the RV industry. Just about every one of those people thinks they're buying a car and their expectations are extremely high. That is true. Knock the American auto industry all you want, but when you compare RVs to automobiles, they are in different classes. Automobiles are built to a standard. RVs are built to, 7th grade shop class. I know that many of my viewers will know what shop class was. And that's pretty much who's building these things. Once someone shells out a lot of cash for their new mobile chariot, they don't expect to need to head back to the dealer or even the manufacturer to fix a problem that prevents them from taking their RV out on the road. Yet this is what new owners of RVs experience. The rule, and this is Greg Gerber, the rule typically is don't buy a new RV. If you buy a new RV, you're going to be sitting in a dealership for 2 years getting it fixed. Greg Gerber, founder and editor of RV Daily Report, an online trade publication that he ran for 10 years, that's what he says. Starting this year, the industry will look to change that. On September 23rd, a $10 million facility called the RV Technical Institute is set to open in Elkhart County, Indiana, where more than 2/3 of RVs in the U.S. Are made. The Institute is a new training center for the nation's RV technicians. The center's mission is to not only augment the skills of current technicians, but also to train new technicians to work at dealerships across the country. And who knows, maybe they can teach the people who build the RVs to actually build them better. Crazy idea. Philip Ingracia says they're houses on wheels and they're traveling down the road so things can happen. Things break. He's the president of the Recreational Vehicle Dealers Association. But I think the industry recognizes that we need to improve customer service experience on the technical side so that people can stay on the road. You think? The Oleshes, the ones with the vehicle that needed a better suspension, says the quality since the recession has gone down the drain. Quality in this case spans a range of concerns. They recall that their 2018 motorhome was also missing a black tank flush, a relatively inexpensive part that helps in cleaning out the onboard tank that holds wastewater from the toilet. They bring up the walkthroughs of units they've done over the last several years at a big RV show, routinely billed as America's largest showcase. And Becky said the one thing we find is there's always broken doors or latches in the cabinets, and this is on brand new units. And that's the funny part. I've spoken to so many people who said they went to a trade show or a big RV show at some huge event center. They're walking through units and things are broken on them, and they go, well, that's because people are playing with them or whatever. Go to the auto show, and yes, you'll find a few things broken, but you won't find the level of negligence that you'll find in an RV show. Gerber's been writing about RVing since 2000. He packed up his life in 2014 and spent 4 years full-time in his own RV, interviewing fellow owners across the country to catalog what he calls the RV industry death spiral. That's what really woke me up to the problem that consumers have getting RVs. There's been a noticeable decline in the quality of RVs coming out since the Great Recession, and I don't know really what's causing that. His best guess, as an outsider looking in, comes down to the sheer quantity of recreational vehicles currently being built. With demand so high, and most manufacturers concentrated in Elkhart, a town of 50,000, a labor force already stretched thin is being asked to pump out even more. Who's to say something wouldn't slip through the cracks every now and then? So here's the deal, and Mr. Zaleski gets this. Unlike cars, which are built along robotic assembly lines, RVs are largely built by hand along manual assembly lines. They are, at their most fundamental level, houses on wheels, and one motorhome's floor plan might be entirely different from the next. Not to mention that a teardrop camping trailer, for example, is not a Class B paneled van trailer, and therefore will be constructed differently. Because of the number of RV types, there's greater room for variation and error in the manufacturing process. So here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, this article, I believe, is 10 or 11 pages in length. I'm a busy man. I haven't got time to count. But it's a great article, and Mr. Zaleski did a very good job of not just finding the people like me who are going to be naysayers. He actually went and spoke to all the people in the RV industry also. Talked to people, trade groups, companies, all that stuff. It's a balanced article. It's a very well-balanced article. But from my perspective, okay, no one calls me and says, hey, Steve, I have an RV. I'm happy with it. Just thought you should know. And thank you for not calling me with that, because if everyone called me to tell me how they're happy with stuff, my phone would never stop ringing. And I need to talk to people who are calling me to tell me that my RV is horrible, my motorcycle is horrible, my boat sank, my dog ran away, and whatever else problems they might have. And the key here is this, that many people buy brand new RVs assuming they'll be built to the same standard as automobiles, and are shocked when they find out that they bring the RV back for service where they bought it from, and they say, oh, it's going to take you 3-4 weeks for us to get that fixed. Might not be able to look at it for a couple weeks. And suddenly things become very, very different. And that is a problem. So you have to lower your expectations when buying an RV. Now you might say, Steve, that seems like a rather simplistic way of looking at it. Is there anything else we can do? Yeah, there is. Buy a used one. Okay, if you really, really want to get an RV, okay, whether it's a tow-along trailer or a big full-blown diesel pusher, I don't care. First thing you should probably do is rent one or see if you can find someone who's got one that you can use. Find out if you like the lifestyle. I've known people who bought an RV because they thought it looked cool, took it out one time and said, I couldn't stand it. Now what? You own the thing. Don't buy one. Rent one. You can rent RVs. Rent one or borrow one from somebody or go camping with somebody. Just try it once. And if you really like it, then what I would do while you're out there trying the RV, walk around the campground and talk to people. People love to talk about their RVs. It's just something about that field. People love to talk about their RVs. Find out what they like, what they don't like, what kind of services they had. Did they have any problems? I've had people tell me that the people who are happiest RVing are the people who are do-it-yourselfers who don't mind fixing little things. So if I buy a $200,000 RV and the door falls off a cabinet, I'm going to get ticked off because I don't think that should happen on a $200,000 product. I know people who say, Steve, if that's the only thing wrong with it, whip out a screwdriver and screw it back in. How hard is that? Well, I guess it's not that hard. It depends what your expectations are, right? So buy a used one. You can buy that $200,000 RV for $100,000 in a couple of years, right? Let someone else go through all the growing pains with it. Let somebody else get all the warranty work done on it. Let somebody else take the depreciation and buy yourself a late model but used one. Save a ton of money. And that way you won't be upset when the door falls off because it wasn't screwed in properly. By the way, at the end of the article about the Oleshes, the examples that they gave, the Oleshes sold their one vehicle and bought a used one because they realized that's the best thing to do. So, this is not my invention. I'm not Einstein here with E = MC squared. I'm literally just telling you something that's common sense once you think about it. So if you're one of these people who can't stand the idea about buying something used, somebody else used this before me, oh my gosh, yeah, buy one new and understand you're going to take a huge hit on depreciation and you're going to go through a nightmare possibly of warranty repairs and long wait times simply getting warranty repairs approved. That could happen to you. If you're okay with that, fine. But if you want to avoid that stuff, like I said, number one, find out if it's okay with you. Go camping, rent one, borrow one, whatever you got to do, but make sure that this lifestyle is okay for you. And if it is, then go out and shop. I can tell you right now, I'm in Michigan, right? This time of year, it's still nice out, by the way. This time of year, there's RVs everywhere, parked by the side of the road in front of people's houses with for sale signs in the window, okay? It's a buyer's market for used RVs, and the price is going to continue plummeting, and they'll probably come up a little bit in the spring. Go shopping now. You'll get a great deal on one. But meanwhile, if you want to know the truth about RVs, I will put a link to the story by Andrew Zaleski in the section below, the description of the video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to fire them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.